the big censorship case in the Western District Courts of the United States for Louisiana, where Missouri, the state of Missouri and the state of Louisiana, is exposed the big propaganda machine of the United States Incorporated. Cause number 322-CV-01213. Louisiana, Missouri versus Joe Biden in the United States. I filed intervention under Rule 24 and they got it in Lafayette. My intervention's filed. But let's get back to this big propaganda machine of planting false stories and planting fake news and making up cockamamie stories about the $25 billion national mortgage settlement, and making up cockamamie stories about Hillary Clinton destroying a bunch of email, and making up a bunch of cockamamie stories about Donald Trump, Mafia Donnie, the big criminal, Don Trump. He's nothing but trash. But these big United States government agencies like the CIA and the National Security Agency, NSA, and Homeland Security and FBI and Department of Justice, they all make up these MK Ultra stories. These Monarch and what's that other one there? I can't think of the name of the other PSYOP operations of the United States government where they plant fake news to control what the public's opinions are. It's called the menticide, the indoctrination and brainwashing of the people of the United States with fake news stories. In the big corporate news media, the same big corporate news agencies and the big tech companies that are running all the censorship for USA Incorporated. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the state attorney generals for 2 U.S. states are accusing the government of this. This isn't Alex Jones making the allegations. No. This is a couple of rather courageous state attorney generals and millions of witnesses. There's millions of people all over the United States that realize the big banking scandals, the big mortgage foreclosure churning and money laundering swindles, Hillary Clinton's destruction of 33,000 emails and all this other corruption and scandal. Yep. So yeah, the big censorship case in Lafayette, Louisiana, cause number 322-CV-01213. The intervention has been filed by myself, and I suggest everybody else victimized should be filing interventions as well, because the United States government incorporated has been operating this giant propaganda machine under MK Ultra, Monarch. I forget the name of that other brainwashing. It'll come to me here after a few minutes. Maybe I'm brainwashed and indoctrinated. You never know. But yeah, I tried fact-checking my story, Toxic Zombie Developments. It's all one word. I made it all one term so people would know it was me. Toxic Zombie Developments. And take a look at all the money laundering through the foreclosures and the money laundering through the subprime mortgages and the massive funding of all of this with pension funds. The pension funds financed huge amounts of it for FHA, VA, HUD, Farmers Home Administration, all these great big bankster gangsters in their real estate-backed mortgage securities. The securitization of all these criminally obtained mortgages. They use fraud to obtain the mortgages right out of the starting gate. None of the mortgage lending was legal because they were using it to nefariously launder huge amounts of money for the biggest organized crime families in the history of the world. So Twitter and YouTube and Mark Zuckerturd, y'all go fact check that. Go fact check that, Zuckerturd. You and YouTube and Yahoo and Google. Why don't you fact check how it is they laundered trillions for the dirtiest crime families in the history of Earth, while the U.S. government incorporated used fake news stories and censorship. Why in the hell is the United States government monitoring and spying on everybody's internet postings and then engaging in censorship? Deplatforming people, putting them in jail, erasing their postings. What's really at the heart of all of this censorship, perpetration of all the propaganda? Why don't you fact check that, ladies and gentlemen? Toxic zombie developments, subprime mortgages laundering, subprime foreclosures laundering, money laundering, subprime foreclosures. Go ahead and fact check all of that. And what you're going to discover is that the big Stazi, the government Stazi machine of the United States government incorporated and the big tech companies that are financed by BlackRock and Vanguard and all the great big, State Street and all these big Wall Street bankster gangster corporations and the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve's involved in this up to their stinking eyeballs. So yeah, go fact check that, Mark Zuckerberg. Fact check toxic zombie development, Zuckerberg. You don't have the gonads, Zuckerberg. You're a fraud, Zuckerberg. And Twitter, you're a scam and a fraud too, with YouTube and Yahoo and Google and Alphabet, the whole bunch of you. Censoring and brainwashing, indoctrination and menticide, planting fake news by the United States government incorporated to cover up all their scandals and all their stinking crime spree. Correct, Donald Mafia Don Trump? You're part of it, Trump. With Schneiderman and Holder and Barack Obama and, I can just keep right on going. Yep. What a stinking mess. The giant propaganda machine, the giant censoring machine that's currently in federal court. 2 separate state attorney generals brought this conspiracy action. This isn't an Alex Jones move. So, ladies and gentlemen, cause number 322 CV-01213 in the Western District Court of Louisiana in Lafayette. I suggest anybody who was victimized by these schemes and scams to shut you up and to cover up and whitewash what's going on in this country, every one of you should file an intervention. Like I have. I filed an intervention. Here, I'll show you. Right there. There's the intervention. Petition to intervene. Right there. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening, and as always, hasta la vista, God bless, and you betcha, we're coming back.